Slow down, you got to slow down and take it easy. Slow down, you got to slow down and take it easy. Oh yeah.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Stogie Review video review. And if you've been paying attention, well, at least last week anyway, I promised to review the Padilla Miami 811, and well, I'm actually going to follow through this time. Unfortunately, the delay last week was I was waiting for some information from Ernesto Padilla on just some informational tidbits, interesting whatnot. Just little blurbs about the cigar, you know, what the inspiration behind it was, you know, whose favorite cigar is it, you know, that kind of somewhat useless, somewhat entertaining kind of information. Anyway, I like to know that type of stuff, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get any information out of Ernesto Padilla, most likely due to the fact that he is opening a new cigar factory in Miami at the current time, which has been making getting a hold of him a little difficult. So I don't have anything more than the standard cookie cutter. Picked it up at famous Cigars International, Cigar.com, Cigar Encyclopedia. You know, just regurgitated sort of information about the cigar. For that, I apologize. But in any case, there's some interesting information about the cigar. And for one, it was debuted in 2005. And it immediately gained positive attention from industry publications such as Cigar Aficionado. It gained 90+ ratings on several occasions. It was also rated one of the top 25 cigars of the year in 2005. And this particular Padilla Miami is made in the El Rey de los Habanos factory by Don Pepin Garcia in Little Havana. Now, if you've been paying attention at all on Cigar Live, a couple other cigar forums, you may have noticed that there was a press release that went out. I guess it was Cigar Aficionado that broke the story that Don Pepin Garcia and Padilla Cigars were kind of splitting ways. There was still, you know, good friendship between the two, but I guess Pepin's business is just getting very overwhelming. He's undergoing a lot of projects and just didn't have the time to dedicate towards Padilla's branding. So with that in mind, and the fact that Padilla says, well, sources are saying, or so I've read, that Padilla's been talking about opening his factory for some time now, and the timing just kind of worked out where Pepin got a little overloaded, and you know, Padilla was all ready to jump into starting his own factory. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're in limbo. This is a Padilla, or a Pepin-made Padilla Miami. I've got another one that I'm going to hold on to until after the Padilla factory cigars start making their way into production, so that I can compare the two. From what I understand, they are supposed to be identical in flavor, and if anything, you're going to see tighter quality control on the Padilla-made sticks over the Pepin-made sticks. But in any case, let's get started on the Padilla Miami. And this was sent to me from Club Stogie quite a while ago, probably about a year ago, and it's been sitting in the same 5-finger bag for about a year now. And well, it's the first time it's been out, and it looks great. It's when I first pulled it out of the bag, it's got a nice kind of broken in sort of leather feel to it, or texture, kind of soft but a little stiff. It's, I don't know, you kind of have to know what broken in leather feels like to kind of get that. But it's got a couple of small veins that run throughout the wrapper, and they protrude a little bit. They add a little bit of a lumpiness to it. From head to foot, I found that it's soft from head to foot. It's very consistent though. You know, there's no one spot really seems softer than the other. But the construction seems good. It had a beautiful cap, which I pruned off with my cigar scissors, and pre-light draw is very free, just as I would have expected with the sort of soft feel to it. Actually, it feels a lot like a Camacho does. I always think of Camacho cigars as being soft, and they always have a very free draw, and this one's just like that. Real nice, sort of odd, like a spicy flavor to it, but not traditional spice, like almost like, I don't know. I'll get into that later. But in any case, I'm going to start the lighting and toasting process and whatnot, so stick around. I'll be right back. We'll get into the first third of the Padilla Miami Corona.
To you, whatever happens, don't leave it so soon. It's alright when it's okay. Yeah, you never listen to what anybody else says. Such a stubborn one, I think I'm in love with you. Come on, you're such a sweet little honey. Your smile's the loveliest of the lovely, yeah.
Well, welcome back. As you can see, I'm plugging away on my Padilla Miami Corona, and I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it so far. That initial sort of, I don't know, that cold draw flavor was very surprising, and I liked it quite a bit. It was like a mild spice. It was not your average spice though. It was more along the lines of like sort of like a mild pumpkin sort of spice. It was intriguing. After I toasted the cigar and got it lit, that nice unique spice just seemed to come through quite a bit. It hung around for a couple of puffs and then quickly fades. I mean, it's still there in the background now. I'm about 30 minutes into the cigar, but it seems to be getting milder and milder as I go. Right from the start, the body is full. I mean, it zings you a little bit with the full bodiedness of it. There's just the smoke feels a little heavy and very rich and smooth. The base flavor is you've got this little bit of a sort of like this pumpkin flavor in there, and there's a very deep, rich natural tobacco flavor, as well as a quick look at my notes. Oh yeah, duh. I'm thinking it. It's also got a sort of a savory flavor to it, which I like. I was picking it up more so a little earlier, not so much now. It's more of a really, really rich natural tobacco flavor. And to be completely honest with you, if someone blindfolded me and handed me the cigar, I lit it up and I took the first couple of puffs. The first cigar that comes to mind is the Don Pepin Garcia Black Label, the Cuban Classic. But this cigar is on like a whole new level. They seem very similar, but this one just seems to have loads and loads more character, complexity, richness. They seem very similar, but I don't know. This one definitely wins, in my opinion, as far as the just richness and complexity of the smoke goes. As far as the burn time goes, I mentioned that I've been at this for about 30 minutes now. It does feel a little fast. I know you probably think I'm nuts, but it feels a little fast for me, which may be from the cigar feeling a little soft, maybe a little underfilled. Again, the draw is very free, so there's very little resistance to kind of force me to slow down. So that could be where the faster pace is coming in at. Initially, I was getting a little bit of blistering. The burn line was pretty heavy and was considerably wavy. Right now, I've ashed the cigar one time, and it seems to have corrected itself quite a bit. I mean, if you take a look at it, you can still see it's fairly wavy, but it's getting better, which is a good sign. The ash now is tight and compacted. When I ashed it the first time, it had a little bit of flaking going on, but nothing that seemed kind of, I don't know, out of the ordinary. It was mild. to say the least. And right now we're doing very well as far as the flavors, the complexity, the way the cigar performs. So, I definitely got to give it a thumbs up at this point. So, with that said, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to enjoy my Padilla Miami a little bit more. Take a look at some pictures, listen to some music courtesy of www.podshow.com, and well, be back in just a second. We'll get fired up on the second third. Well, welcome back. And as you can see, it's about time to get into the second third of my Padilla Miami. I'm going to just pop the band off now, right before I turn the camera on. And well, before I get into the cigar, I want to apologize for the loud air filter noises you've been hearing. I neglected to. I always forget to turn that thing down before I turn the camera on, and well, I did it again. So now that I was aware of it when I was looking or doing minor editing of the last clip, I realized that there's this just blatantly loud fan noise which is directly behind the camera. So again, I'm sorry for that. I turned it down, and already the smoke is really starting to develop in the room, and that's due to the very thick, dense smoke that this Padilla Miami produces. Each puff is still a little light, or it's still free, very little resistance, and it puts off this very rich, heavy, just hefty smoke. It's very thick, easy to get through the sinuses, would be very easy to blow smoke rings with and whatnot. It's lingering quite a bit in the room. It doesn't have an acrid aroma or anything like that. It's mild. Well, at least it seems mild for someone sitting in a cloud of smoke. But in any case, I'm enjoying the cigar in all aspects at this point. I have run into a little bit of a crossroads with this cigar. If you remember, back or just recently when I did the how-to video on the cigar scissors, I had mentioned that sometimes when you open the cap, you may not notice it, but underneath the cap you'll have a flap of binder that may stiffen up the draw a little bit. Well, in this case, it hasn't stiffened up the draw, and I just realized there is a flap of binder there. And I'm going to see if I can pry it up just a little bit. But at any rate, there's this little flap of binder there, and the reason I'm at a crossroads is simply the cigar seems to be burning pretty fast, and if I peel this off, I'm going to open the cigar up, I'm going to get even more smoke, even more of these rich flavors. The cigar may begin to burn a little hotter, but ultimately the cigar is going to burn faster, and I really don't want that. I feel like I'm moving pretty fast through the cigar. I'm at about the 50-minute mark right now. And I know it sounds odd, 50 minutes for a Corona. I should probably be burning my fingers by now. But as I always preface it, I am a slow smoker, and I just feel like I'm moving kind of fast. So I'm going to leave that little flap there. Maybe I'll pull it off toward the end. But again, the draw is free, even with that little bit of a flap of binder on the back, and I'm really enjoying the smoke. The body continues to build. It's just progressively going up the full spectrum. It's not letting off at all. In fact, each puff seems to get just a little bit, fuller, with each and every puff. Now, the finish stays very smooth. I mean, it's not a harsh or doesn't have any bite to it. What it does have is this quick, sharp, spicy aftertaste to it, which kind of zings the tongue and especially the sinuses when you get the smoke through. But I happen to like that sort of flavor profile, or that sort of finish. So I'm really not complaining about it. I like that quite a bit. Seems I've been talking a little too much. But at any rate, the base flavor is pretty much on par with what it was before. That sort of like pumpkin-like spice is practically gone at this point. I'm still getting a bit of a savory flavor, and the one flavor that takes center stage is this really rich natural tobacco flavor that really doesn't quit. It just keeps on coming, and as the body steps up with each puff, the complexity and the character of the cigar steps up with it. So it's just been a nice smooth progression from the very beginning, where you start off with a rich, complex, full-bodied cigar, and as you go along, it just gets better and better, and it's been really nice. I am having a little bit of difficulty with it in terms of burn, as you can see. I had a little bit of a waviness problem that corrected itself for the most part, and as the cigar burns down a little bit more, I'm developing some ash. It's getting a little wavy, but this is the worst it's been. And as much as I hate to say it, I think I want to attribute it to that flap of binder on the back. And what happens is, or at least how I understand it, is think of it as, this is in generic terms, think of it as the cigar is made up of a bunch of straws. Okay, those tiny little drink straws you get at the bar, or wherever you get mixed drinks, and you've got all these little straws running through the cigar, and I've got, when I open the cap, I have access to all the straws. I get complete complete flow through the cigar, and everything burns normally. But as soon as I leave a piece of binder on there like I have right now, it starts closing off some of those portals of air, and that portion of the cigar ultimately doesn't get the airflow that it needs, and you end up with a little bit of an uneven burn. In my case, a quick touch up, and I'm practically back on par again. So with that said, I'm enjoying the cigar. Everything's going well, with the exception of a little bit of a burn issue, and my smoke rate just seems to be really fast. But at any rate, I'm going to take a break, enjoy my Padilla Miami even more, and I'll be back. We'll do the final third, wrap the show up, and I'll let you be on your way.
All the working parts are cleaning the necks. She knows they love it when she's wearing a dress. She works hard to erase the lines on her face, and the pills help her cope with the stress. The office guys are scratching their heads. She won't take any of them home to bed. After she's had her fill, she hands them the bill and laughs on the phone with her friends. When she gets stuck on the games she likes to play, they wear her down. We got fed up with all the cars that persuade, all the half-truths he tried to believe, and the night at the top when she kissed the cop, it seemed like it was time to leave. She thought it may have been time for a break, but lately feeling like it was a mistake. Got the note that he wrote and started to glow, was left with the dull stinging ache.
Here we are with the final third of my Padilla Miami, and well, I can definitely say that that flap was the cause of my burn issues, because as you can see, they totally went away as soon as I removed that flap of binder. And I did that, I don't know, about a minute after I turned the camera off, and it made a world of difference immediately. So chalk all those burn problems I was having earlier on in the video, that's totally user error. And I'm very confident in saying that. I really think that if I would have gotten that flap of binder off in the very beginning, I would have had zero problems as far as the burn goes with this cigar. Now, with that flap removed, I was expecting the draw to be freer, and I really expected it to get a little warmer, and neither really happened. The cigar's getting a little warm on the fingers now, but as soon as I removed that flap, I really didn't notice the temperature difference, even as I continued to puff on it. And the draw pretty much remained the same. I guess what was happening was, I don't know, maybe I was getting a full draw, but just the way it was coming around and around that flap, and I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on exactly what that flap was doing, but it certainly was the culprit here as far as the burn problems go, and I'll take full responsibility for that. The body continues to build. We're well into the full range. It's very easy on the palate. You know, again, it's not harsh. There's no bitterness, no bite. It's, you know, it's smooth. It still delivers this nice little zing to the palate, and especially to the sinuses when you easily get it through. And I say easily because I mean the smoke is just very thick and kind of bellows out of the cigar. It's just very easy to play around with like that. The base flavor is pretty much the same in terms of the primary component, and that is a very rich natural tobacco flavor. And just as before, you know, as the body builds, so does the complexity and characters of the cigar. You know, it's just very complex, smooth, and very enjoyable. Now, the secondary components of the cigar, that sort of pumpkin-esque sort of spice is completely gone, and I'm getting a very rich sort of caramel and wood flavor out of the cigar, which, you know, I think is even more appealing than that sort of mild pumpkin sort of flavor, or that pumpkin sort of spice. The caramel flavor just seems to be so much more rich than the previous flavor, which is why I like it more. But, you know, at this point I've got a cigar that tastes completely developed, and there's just not a trace of bitterness or bite. It's just been a fantastic cigar. Even with the burn problems I was having, you know, I still enjoyed it very much. The burn rate, as I think I may have mentioned, I expected that to increase as well when I took that flap binder off, but it doesn't seem to have gotten any faster. I mean, the burn rate's about the same. I still feel like this is a fast-paced cigar. Typically, when I take the photos for the video, it's in increments of either 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on the size of the cigar. You know, if I'm smoking something like a Toro or a Double Robusto, every 15 minutes is just fine. With this cigar, I'm taking pictures every 5 minutes or so, because, you know, I need an X number of pictures to make up the video, and had I taken them every 10 to 15 minutes, I would have fallen short. And, you know, I kind of like where I'm at with that. But at any rate, my thoughts on the cigar. This definitely has the premium price tag. As I had mentioned in YQMA not long ago, actually the last one, I was in Gettysburg a couple of weeks ago for an Oliva event. And while I was there, I was at Gary's shop, which is the Gettysburg Cigar Company. It's right on the main drive, or the main drag through town. And Gary had several of these, all of which started at like $9 and worked their way up. I didn't pick any up, simply because it was just a little out of my comfort zone, and I knew I had a couple here. So I didn't want to pick any more up, because it's been quite a while since I had one of these. This is only my second. And but at any rate, I think it's well worth the price, especially at about $9. I really think you're getting what you're paying for in this situation. And you know, just another side note about Gary's shop. Of all the shops I've been to, I think Gary is the definition of quality over quantity. He's got a small little store, but he's just got a fantastic selection. I mean, there's just... I didn't see any Opus X there, but I hear he has them regularly, and he's not the type of guy to limit you to one or two. I mean, I guess he gets them frequently enough that, you know, you want to buy several, go right ahead. He's got, you know, several of the Padilla Miamis, the Illusions, you know, just a number of really fantastic cigars. But at any rate, I didn't pick any up while I was there, and I kind of regret it now. You know, I wish I had gotten them. I wish I had gotten them, because my local shops don't carry these. So I'm going to have to put away a couple of dollars and maybe order a 5-pack online, since they are available. And I am eagerly awaiting Padilla's, you know, the actual Padilla rolled Miamis. So we'll see if those make any difference. Again, back to my thoughts on the cigar. Again, you know, I think it's well worth the price. I think that if you were going to look for an alternative, a cheaper alternative, you may want to look at the Don Pepin Garcia black labels. the Cuban classics, especially in the smaller ring gauges, more along the lines of the Perla, which is a 4x40. I think the flavors are similar, but you are just not going to get the richness and complexity from that cigar like you do this one. This one just kind of is in a class of its own. You know, it's got similarities with the Black Label, but I don't know, the character and complexity just seemed to far exceed that other cigar, which is why I feel that it's worth, you know, the price that you pay for these things. So at any rate, you know, I really enjoyed the cigar. Would definitely recommend picking one or two up, especially if you're the type of person that likes to pick them up for special occasions. You know, I really don't think you're going to be disappointed with this. Just be prepared that it's going to be a full-bodied and very full-flavored cigar. You know, if that's not up your alley, you may want to shy away and look at something else. But if you are the full-bodied smoker that likes, you know, really rich flavors, you know, I don't think you can go wrong with the Padilla. But at any rate, that wraps up the video, and well, until next week, I'm actually going to be smoking a Jameson Cigar Company cigar next week. If you remember the Check This Out article from this past Sunday, I had posted the deal of the week, which was 2 of these Jameson cigars for free. The only thing you pay for is shipping, and I later found out that included with those 2 cigars was a free shirt. So if you got in on that deal while supplies lasted, they may still be available, but I'm really not sure. Check them out. You should be able to get them by next week, and you can smoke along with me. But in any case, until next week, happy smoking. Clearly, I'm talking too much in these videos. I'm gonna touch it up again.